Our Voice, Our Opinion is brought to you by Grand Diva Studios, owned and operated by Jamaica Kitchens, specializing in natural and healthy hair care.
Hi, and welcome to another segment of Our Voice, Our Opinion. And we're going to just jump right into it today. Ebola. Okay, the latest is Texas Governor Rick Perry has become an advocate for banning travel between West Africa and the United States, period. Not the, wait and do the scan. He says just cut it out. Officials think that that's a big mistake. How do you feel about that? What are you thinking?
It's a hard one. It's a hard one because it's up in the air. Then you get to the point to where you say who can come in and who can't, and then what are the guidelines of saying okay,
people not being allowed to come in.
Right. So you have a husband and wife, and they say, well, you can come in, but your husband can't.
Why? Because, he was in West Africa. The thing is, he wants to ban people just because they were in the country. Not because they've shown any signs, not because they've been checked out, not because anything's been, it's just like, you were in the country.
That's discrimination. It goes right into discrimination.
Well, I think
or I don't know. It's not discrimination, but I don't know.
You got to go back to, I guess, the root of it, and it's the fear of the unknown. I mean, it started out in West Africa. Mm-hmm. It seems like, from what you hear on the news, everybody over there has got it, right?
That's what you hear.
They don't understand how to stop it.
Right.
And they do understand how to stop it. Quarantine, you put your glove, put your mask on, but everybody can't walk around in airports in the United States.
Hey, looks like somebody's making some money on some hazmat suits. I'm serious.
Because straight to the profit.
I'm just saying, and that's what it is.
Just think about
They really are.
I think I was saying it earlier. Just think about the stock in hand sanitizer. What does the stock in hand sanitizer look like in the past?
That's true.
10 years since anthrax, H1N1, swine flu, all these diseases
that pop up and then it's time to go.
Check the stock on hand sanitizer.
Everybody looking for
we gotta dig a little bit deeper into how these things came about.
Yeah.
Right. But the Washington Post, ABC News poll says 67% of Americans support restricting entry to the U.S. to travelers who have been in Ebola-affected countries. Not that they have Ebola or have been in contact with somebody with Ebola, but they've been in the country.
But how do you contain it, though? How do you contain it?
Well, that's the problem. People are so afraid because we aren't 100% confident that we can contain it. So we're just like taking drastic measures. Just cut the airport off. No flights. Stop all flights in the air. Come from West Africa. Turn back around. Go home.
I didn't want to play the race card, but would it be the same? Would it be the same if it broke out in France or Europe? Would they shut it off as quickly if it came from Europe?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Until that happens somewhere like that, I think, to me, it's just that unknown. It's like you hear about it in Guinea and Sierra Leone and I think it's Liberia, and it appears to be so contagious, and nobody has a feel for how to stop it. That they're like, okay, let's just do whatever we got to do over here, because we don't want that happening over here. We don't want that popular.
You would do that at your house,
right? What at the house?
Say I had the flu or something, and I say, hey, John, I'm gonna come to your house. You'd be like, hey, don't bring that over here.
But
right?
we're not.
Well, that just depends. That just depends. Like I would ask my wife. This really upsets her, but I don't get sick that much. So Right. Somebody's sick, I go touch them. I don't, because I just don't get sick. I wouldn't fool around with Ebola. I don't care how strong my immune system is.
But that's my point. They're saying they want to cut off the.
But here's the
border.
Okay, here's the problem with that officials have with it. If you do that, right now they have a screening process where they say, okay, you've been in this country, all right. Have you been in contact with it? They go through this whole thing. They're getting your name, your address, your phone number. They're talking about the people you've been in contact with. If you've had any contact at all in these countries, period. Right. If you cut off, just say, okay, no. Do you think people still not going to come home? People or you're going to have people from West Africa who are going to try to come into the United States? They'll find a way. But now you no longer have that screening process. You don't know if they had family members that they were living with that had the virus. You don't know any of this stuff now because now they're sneaking in rather than coming in with a regulated process to find out what's going on, who's in this country from that area, all that kind of stuff. If you ban it,
I agree with you that they probably will find a way to get in. But if you've got 100 people trying to get in now, and then we close off our borders, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just stating the facts. If they close off our borders, of that 100, how many will eventually make it into the U.S.? I think that's kind of the point of the restriction
But, I mean, we're not talking about the U.S. and Mexico. We're talking about
Africa. So, like, if you fly from West Africa, you got to go to East Africa, maybe Europe, and then get to the United States. You got to have some money to do that.
And that would be a bad joke, but if you got Ebola, you're not going to make it that far.
You know what?
I'm just saying, that's a bad joke. I said it was a bad joke at the start.
So you saying they'll be dead on arrival? That's what you said. I'm just trying to understand.
All right. The Center for Disease Control says we can't have anything happening right now to slow our ability to stop the epidemic. When some commercial flights stop going into those countries, our people are delayed going in, our people are delayed going out. When we stop commercial flights in and out of the country, it does not enhance our ability to stop the epidemic.
Right.
They're saying that they need to go in and out of it because they need to figure out what we need to do to stop this.
Well, I think a lot of these analysts and people in Congress and all these.
No, this is a Center for
even there, everybody it's a hard one to call. How do you shut down a country?
But here's the other thing.
This is a different question because when we're saying shut off West Africa, any flights from West Africa coming to the United States, we're looking only for the protection of the United States.
Right.
Whereas this question is saying, okay, as the United States, as a superpower, we've got to be able to fly over there in order to help
and as well as figure out what's going on so that it doesn't get that bad as well.
Exactly.
So how many people? I know you probably don't know the answer, but is just West Africa? Does that many people have Ebola? Is it just going crazy like that? Because that was the same thing back in the 80s with AIDS. They were saying it was the same thing with AIDS. So what do we do then?
Well, I think still going back to that example, AIDS example, there still was usually an event that had to occur for AIDS to be passed along. Whereas,
but this is the same. This is very similar, and every doctor that has gotten on television, every doctor that you talk to has explained to you, look, unless I am, and then in order for me to get to the point where I'm throwing up and all this kind of stuff, which is how you could get it if I threw up on you, or if I had a cut and you were fooling with it and all this kind of stuff. These are the ways that you contact Ebola. Okay?
Right.
In order for that to happen, I would have been sick enough for you to say, I'm not going to be around you to be throwing up and stuff on you. I would be in a hospital already.
But that's
you understand what I'm saying?
Where it came. Well, one of the cases where it came from with the woman.
But then we go back
Dallas,
to
was handling the guy that died from Ebola, and she went on a cruise.
And I think the point, and so that brings,
and you know what?
So that brings up a good point, because at that time when they first handled it, I think it was the first 2 days, I'm not sure they really realized it was Ebola.
Right.
But it was contagious.
But here's your other thing. And being a person who has worked in the healthcare field, there are things in place if I follow OSHA guidelines, which are the guidelines that I wash my hands every time I walk in and out of your room. I'm in gloves whenever I'm dealing with any bodily fluids. The thing is, a lot of times you get busy in the day, you grab a bedpan, you just go with whatever, and say, I'll just wash my hands. You can't do that. But that happens on a regular basis. I know it happens. If you've ever been in a hospital, you've done it. I mean, if you ever worked, you've done that. But there are ways to protect yourself. The thing is, do what we have to do, even if the person does not have Ebola, because there are all kinds of diseases, infectious diseases and when you're in the hospital, I don't care what you're in there for. You're in there because you broke your toe. You don't know what the person in the next room is in there for.
No, not even the next room, but behind the curtain. Behind the curtain. Your room.
You understand what I'm saying?
But it sounds like that as long as the proper protocol, that's what's being thrown around the news, the proper protocol is being followed, then it's almost certain that you will not catch it.
Right.
And so are we saying then that over in the western part of Africa that maybe they don't have protocols in place when dealing with
you're talking about
people.
Family members having to take care of family members because they can't get to hospitals. You understand what I'm saying? I don't know.
So they don't have the gloves and the mask.
Right. They're not doing all that. Mama's sick. I'm taking care of her. She's throwing up. I'm taking care of her. And, hey, we can go round and round and round. But, hey, it's always good. Wash your hands. Cough into your sleeve. All those good things. Let's remember those.
I'm going to go wash my hands right after this segment for a particular reason.
And on that note, if you'd like to join in this conversation, please join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, at Our Voice, Our Opinion.
Our Voice, Our Opinion is brought to you by Grand Diva Studios, owned and operated by Jamaica Kitchens, specializing in natural and healthy hair care.